James earns millions from internet marketing. Tim's got millions of questions. Welcome to Freedom Ocean. Now, jump on in.
All right, James Schramko, welcome back to the Freedom Ocean. Isn't it good to be back in the cool, calming waters?
Love it. This is where I enjoy spending my time.
Do you know, and welcome listeners. I always forget that. Welcome listeners to the Freedom Ocean. We're pretty much on the guy with a million questions, and James, you're the guy with $1 million, and between the two of us, it's Gilligan and the skipper, really.
That is. Which one are you?
Aha. I'm Mary Ann. But as we said in our last show, this is a show dedicated to, well, all shows are dedicated to the listener, this one in particular, because I'm going to hold off on the questions for a minute. A couple of days ago, James, I put out an email saying, what questions you got, guys? You must have lots of burning internet marketing questions, I said. And we got a fantastic response, and not one silly one saying, oh, you know, how do I get rich? People are genuinely engaging. We used that word last show, but they really are. They're wanting the answers on a broad range of questions. So I'm loving that. So
I like that the questions come in 3 different places too. We've got questions from the email, we've got questions on the fan page on Facebook, and we've had questions on our Freedom Ocean blog.
We have, in the show notes.
Yep.
Comment section.
We're actually using one of our strategies, which is to be in multiple places.
Yep. And just to give people an idea of, because it's always good to know the numbers, and I haven't calculated the percentage of response, but I would say we've certainly got over 20%. We've got a lot on our list already. But 20% or more have responded with a question, in some case multiples. I have pages and pages of questions from listeners here, which clearly we're not going to cover in today's show, but we will cover in coming shows. We'll answer every single one of them. So yeah, it's been excellent to get them. What I meant to say in our last show, which I didn't, was that we had a great response to the homework that you set in, I think, episode 5 or 6, 5, where you asked people, I can't remember, it might have been episode 4, it doesn't matter, you asked people to clear their inboxes.
It was episode 4.
To purge,
get rid of all the junk and clutter in your inbox. And we had people posting on Facebook saying, you know, it's done. We even had people posting screenshots.
Wasn't that great?
Of an empty inbox. And I would encourage anyone listening to this, if you can set yourself up with a clear inbox, take a screenshot, post it on the Freedom Ocean wall, and let everyone else be encouraged by the freedom that is actually coming from that.
It's a very cathartic thing to do, and I could feel people exhaling as they were doing it and posting on the Freedom Ocean Facebook. Great, you know, great. And in some cases, there's one guy who'd purged tens of thousands of emails. Yeah,
it's not uncommon. In fact, I've been collecting these screenshots for one of my products called Inbox Relief, which is currently, as at time of recording, not out. However, I've been really encouraged by the tremendous feedback from everyone that I've helped. I've actually helped so many people get rid of junk out of their inbox that they said, you should make a product about this and help others. So I'm putting together some of the top tips and tricks. But for now, the episode 4 covers what I recommend you do. Go back and listen to the end of that and the homework, because it really is going to free you up to be able to implement the stuff we're talking about in this episode and future episodes.
James, one of the great lessons that keeps coming back to me now that we're doing Freedom Ocean is that a lot of this stuff is simple. I mean, that's not brain surgery to say empty your inbox. It's not something that people would think about because we're all so busy, but it's going to be a recurring theme, I think, in internet marketing, because I was saying to you before, one of the big words that I'm seeing, one of the key insights into people who are beginning an internet marketing journey, or to small business owners who are considering it, is overwhelm.
Yeah.
And what I want to say to them, and I hope that they're picking it up in episodes so far, is that it is not as, and I'll put my hand up as being, you know, I'll be captain of one of the overwhelmed teams, because I've been and to a certain extent are still in overwhelm, because I am still running normal businesses, whatever a normal business is, maybe internet marketing.
You're in transition phase.
I am in transition.
We had a private conversation recently where you just purged, didn't you? You did brain dump.
Yep.
And we made some suggestions and reorganised things, and you've actually started the path of restructuring. And I wonder, do you think you'd ever release part of that recording at some point?
We recorded it, didn't we? And because there is an element of, whilst we like full transparency on Freedom Ocean, there was a lot of stuff there around my own personal income, family aims, personal aims. So yeah, I'll have to have a think about that. Maybe there's a little beeping button we can put in every time something's mentioned. But absolutely, it was certainly what I learned from it. You know what? It's the old cliche of start with the end in mind. And I hadn't. I'd been I was starting things with no end in mind. It was a bright, shiny object.
It's very common, and that's the thing that strikes me when I'm on those phone calls, is it's so clear to me, it's so obvious what people should do when I'm looking in as a helicopter view of their situation. I'm like, well, move this, stop doing that, start doing this, reorganise that. And generally, it takes no extra effort for them to have a completely different outcome. It just, in most cases, it's actually doing less.
I think one proviso I'll put on that is that, yeah, you do see it, and you see it really clearly, and there is empathy in your solution, but everyone's situation is different. Some people are more courageous than others. Some people are ready to make the jumps that you're proposing that are very simple jumps. They're not like, it's just like, hey, well, what are you good at? Focus around that. Well, that's a pretty simple jump, but when you're anchored to all this other stuff that you're doing and earning an income from that's paying the bills, there's just there's emotional stuff there that only really you, the person receiving the information, can act on and make those decisions.
Exactly. So it's about identifying where you want to get to, and then having that courage to let go, sometimes to let go of doing some of the things that are comfortable.
That is a very good segue into our first listener question. In fact, there was a number of questions around this, and just as we go to air now, another one came in. That was from Ann Tyson, who sends a very long note, which she clearly acknowledged that she was struggling to decide which area of internet marketing to really focus on. Michelle Brown has also come through on Facebook with a similar question, and I'll let you know. Here's what Michelle's question is. It's discussion about handling multiple income streams that are very diverse. How do you make the headspace to cover each one properly without jumping around from one thing to another? And that's a recurring thing. As I said, Anne, Michelle, there are a number of people saying it's overwhelm. It's back to this overwhelm thing. And before you jump into your solution, your answer, as you know, in a previous episode, we covered one of the 10 business models, which was a local marketing strategy, and we are going to cover the other 9. So if I could answer that question first, and dare I answer a question? I'm just the guy with the questions, you know.
I'm fascinated.
Yeah. But here's one.
I'm like the guy playing golf. I'll let you take the shot, and,
yeah,
great. And then I'll study the curve on the ball.
rub your chin as I'm doing it. But. Clearly part of the solution is we're in the process of developing, and that is listen to the 10 episodes that will come out over the coming months. I'm sorry, I know everyone wants the answer today, but over the coming weeks and months, we will make very clear the pros and cons and the how-tos of all 10 internet marketing business models. And at that point, you should know which one suits. That's a bit of a medium-term answer. What's your answer, James?
Well, as usual, I always look for a way of looking at things to explain it so that I understand it simply. Just near my lab is a library with a multitude of books, hundreds of books on it. And each book is a separate entity, and it's got its own topic, its own author, but they all live together on the same bookshelf. And really is just a case of focusing on one thing at a time. if I were trying to read 100 books at the same time, you know, literally go page, 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 it wouldn't work. But if I go on